And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back for another edition of the South Carolina High School and College Football Report Show. I'm Nathan Martin. My partner every week is Randy Kimbites. Randy, we finally had high school football. It finally came last night. Didn't a couple months ago, didn't know we were gonna have high school football. It was in doubt, didn't know. Finally last night, teams around the state teed it up on the tee and kicked it off. And I think you're gonna find out some very interesting scores from last night. I think a lot of this is gonna go with the lack of practice time. Um, we saw it in the Lugoff game, sloppy early. Both teams started cleaning it up as the game goes along. I think you're gonna see that around the state with some of these scores.
Yeah, and some of the games we hyped up last week. They changed. Obviously, everything's changing on a daily basis almost when it comes to these sports. But we still got some of the big games that we were looking forward to. It'll be really exciting to go back, look at these scores, and get a really in-depth breakdown for all of our local listeners for the Lugoff game. I know you were there the whole game last night. I did not get the opportunity, but I still listened. It was a very good game and very exciting for the Lugoff Elgin Demons to open their season.
What they did with Memorial Stadium is phenomenal. The renovations are just top notch. They put us on top of the press box. They have this huge landing that's covered.
Wow.
And got lights up there. I mean, it's really top notch. Like, the only thing was that when the game first started, the wind was blowing about 25 miles an hour. It was like, where'd this come from? It had the wind all day. But it got out of here probably about halftime. But no rain, never did rain. Just a nice venue and a great football game between Lugoff Elgin and Dreer. Some of the scores that were popping up around the night kind of got your attention, or at least it did me when I was scrolling on Twitter there with EP and Jerry Murphy calling all the action, and I was like, wow, these are some pretty interesting scores. There were some really there were a ton of points scored last night in a couple of games, but how about Somerville and Stratford? The final horn did not blow till 12:30 due to rain. They were so determined to get the game in. They were basically taking these, I don't know what it was, a metal object, and squeegeeing the field off just so they get the game in. Now there are some games that are taking place today, and there's one that's taking place on Monday. That is Georgetown and Waccamaw that they'll play Monday night.
There's one other one that we have on Monday night too, and I have it written down. We'll get to it in a little bit.
Basically, the Storms, if you go from I-20 south towards the beach, that was the trouble area with the rain last night. But most everybody got in, so we're gonna go by region, and we're gonna start with 5A and work our way down to 1A. So Region 1, 5A. And Randy, if you can use that piece of paper I handed you that had the cuts on it to write down these records as we go, kind of keep up with it. Region 1, 5A, you had Hillcrest knocking off Malden 24-14. So Hillcrest goes 1-0 in the regular season and 1-0 region play. These are all region games, no non-conference games this year. So Hillcrest 24, Malden 14. Wade Hampton falls to JL Man 39-32. So JL Man moves to 1-0. And then the final matchup in that region were the Teal-Hannah knocking off Woodmont 35-10. Region 2, 5A, and I know there's more teams than the 4 teams. We'll effort throughout the show to try to find out the other scores. But the big one was Burns knocking off Spartanburg 41-21. Spartanburg's got a new head coach. He came over from Chapman. We all know about the success that Chapman's had over the last 3 or 4 years. But he is in his first year. Spartanburg, if he can do it at Spartanburg what he did at Chapman, Spartanburg is going to be a problem for the teams in the upstate in a year or two. But how about Dorman? The team that played for the state championship a year ago and nearly almost knocked off Dutch Fort, right, Randy, in the state championship game. Dorman says we're going to put up a number to kind of make you look at us in week one. They knock off Riverside 69-24. Dorman moves to 1-0. Go to Region 3 5A. Some pretty tight games in this region. Gaffney is getting a lot of love in the offseason. A lot of people think that Gaffney is a team that can knock off Dutch Fort. We'll see. But Gaffney did get the win over Bowling Springs 33-23. Wren, who's dropped down to 3A, was playing 5A Clover and got the win 23-21 over Clover. That's a big win for Wren. That might be a preview for the upper state 3A. Coaches probably look at that score going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
We might be in trouble. Fort Mill falls to Nation Ford 45-20. That'll wrap up Region 3. Region 4, Blythewood. Man, what a ball game. They score late to knock off North Augusta 27-24. Ridgeview now in 5A. They were a big team in 4A last year. Perry Parks had the Blazers playing well, but stubbed their toe last night at Northwestern 37-21. Northwestern gets the win. And Randy, this one was another close one. Spring Valley scores late to knock off Rock Hill 17-12. Odd score for a football game, but I'm sure that was an exciting game to watch. Spring Valley's got that young quarterback, DQ Smith, I believe is his name. He's the real deal. And he's very fun to watch. All right, Region 5A. You had one postponement. River Bluff and Lexington got postponed. I don't know if that was because of rain or COVID, but it did get postponed.
I think that was COVID. That was another COVID case. That was
River Bluff, yes, because
partially related to the Camden ones, but I'm not sure if that's where they got it from.
Gotcha. How about this? Chapin beat Lower Richland, but let me give you the backstory on this. Lower Richland was up 26-7 on Chapin. 26-7. They were leading. What did Chapin do? They scored 40 unanswered points to win 47-26. Yeah, I think defense is going to be worked on and extensively in practice this week at Lower Richland. 47-26 Chapin over LR. Dutch Fork. The Silver Foxes, the drive for 5 was what the students were holding up in the student section last night. They just smacked White Knoll right in the face, 66-0.
Yeah, preseason ranked number 2 did not sit well with Dutch Fork, and White Knoll paid the price for that one. That was unfortunate for White Knoll, but Dutch Fork showed that they are not going away quietly.
And I'll tell you this, and Rain's about to play this clip of Tom Knotts. This may be this Dutch Fork team may be better than last year's team, and Tom Knotts is about to tell you why here. Go ahead and fire that clip up, Randy.
We played lights out tonight. Will was a little bit inconsistent, but he made some fabulous plays. We got some real playmakers on the outside. A little bit disappointed in our offensive line play relative to the running game, but they're big, they're strong. I think we can get that worked out. Just haven't done it that much right now, so we'll get that worked out. Big great. I'm real proud of the defense. Man, those guys will hit. We've had some good defense in my 10 years here. But I don't know if I've seen the defense fly around like this. Those young boys, we got like 4 or 5 sophomore starters. They are striking. Putting fear in people's hearts.
That is scary. His 10 years being here, he's not had defense that flies around to the football like this team does, and they like to hit people and put the fear of God in people. That's scary if you're having Dutch Fork on your schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Do not want to play Dutch Fork right now. It's one thing to have a crazy offense that puts up a lot of points on people. There's a certain amount of fear that you strike out on other teams when you have a hard-hitting defense that has no concern for yours or their own health. So that's not going to be fun to play Dutch Fork. And Dutch Fork, like you said, they might be better this year. They're evolving, so you got to watch out for Dutch Fork still.
No Ty Olenchuk. He's moved on to Clemson. The quarterback, his name escapes me. Obviously played really well, scored 66 points. Jalen Hyatt will be in a Tennessee uniform this evening. Who played Dutch Fork a year ago? Doesn't look like they've missed him much at all on the offensive side of the football, putting up 66 points.
Yeah, absolutely not. Like I said, Dutch Fork is a huge school, probably the biggest school in the Columbia area. They really did not miss a step. Like you said, they haven't missed Jalen Hyatt much. I really hope Tennessee misses Jalen Hyatt tonight, but say we'll see.
Yeah.
It'll be a big homecoming for him. Dutch Fork fans, you still have a little bit to look forward to. Is after putting up a big score last night, you get to see a homecoming tonight. So.
Let's move on to Region 6 5A. Carolina Forest knocked off South Florence 40-14. Conway gets a win over St. James 21-16. Sumter, the Gamecocks, made a deep run a year ago. They got a win over Socastee 24-7. They have the big defensive end that is committed to Florida. Region 7 5A. Goose Creek and Berkeley will play on Monday. The biggest school in the state, Wando, got a win over Cane Bay 35-10. Stratford beat Somerville 21-14.
Yeah, it looks like I actually have a Berkeley Goose Creek score from last night from according to Max Preps, showing 42 Berkeley, 31 Goose Creek.
Interesting.
Some of those scores, they were live tracking them last night, but some of them, obviously, it's hard to tell if games weren't being played last night because of the rain, COVID, stuff we're missing. But that is the score showing. It doesn't show anything from Monday for that region at the moment. So we'll figure that out. And if it did play on Monday, we'll bring the actual final score to you.
Right. Region 8 5A. I have both. I don't have all the scores on here. Fort Dorchester and Ashley Ridge got postponed. Stall and West Ashley, according to this, was playing today.
Yeah.
That's all for 5A that I have. Region 1 4A. Westside 45, easily nothing. Pickens got a big win, 46-30 over Walhalla.
Yeah. Pickens was actually supposed to be playing Reagan County, Gunner Stockton's team. That game got postponed when South Carolina cut off their high school football season from outsiders. So that's why that game did not go ahead as planned. I think we reported that last week.
Yeah, I was looking for it last night. I'm like, wow, Walhalla. Okay, something must have happened, but that makes sense.
Happen. Yeah, so they cut that one off, and they had just not updated the schedule for Pickens until I believe it was Thursday of this week.
Gotcha.
We got that one in wrong last week. But yeah, they beat Walhalla. That's a good win for them.
TR Travelers Rest 25, Eastside 3. That's it for Region 1. Get a Region 2. Greenville gets a win over Greer 34-17. Greenwood beat a very good Lawrence team, and from what I'm hearing, the old Greenwood may be back, like when they had Josh Norman and DJ Swearinger. 35-7 win over Lawrence. Lawrence had a really good season a year ago. I think they returned a lot of people, and Greenwood just smacked them 35-7.
Yeah, whenever you can say the old Greenwood's back and throw out a couple of NFL players, it's not good for people in that area.
Right.
And that Greenville-Greer game was the game we circled last week as the game of the week, the number 1 versus number 3. Very exciting, and in 5A, I believe we have another big matchup with 2 highly ranked teams that we'll get to here in a little bit.
Talking about an area, how about Rock Hill? That's a big land, a big breeding land for college football athletes coming out of these high schools. Randy, I don't have all of these, so I want to lean on you to kind of help me here if you got the scores pulled up there. I do have South Point 30, Catawba Ridge. This is their first year playing football in a region, 14. So South Point gets a win 30-14. York beats Indianland 21-14. Randy, I saw this Indianland team last year. Their quarterback is pretty good. He was a freshman last year. He's a sophomore this year. Dual threat guy. He can run around. He can throw the football. York had a really good season a year ago. So Indiana, competed right there with them, lost by a touchdown, 21-14. Good showing for the Warriors up in Indiana.
Yeah, I think they'll make that jump pretty easily from they jumped all the way up to 4A from right to 3A.
Yep.
And with that young quarterback, he'll be able to grow as the team grows into 4A. Looking down the road a year or two, Indiana could be a problem in 4A. That quarterback is one of the more talented quarterbacks we saw in the games that we did last year, and he was just a freshman.
All right, Region 4, 4A, you had AC Flora 44, Westwood 6. We have a clip from Dustin Curtis, the head coach of AC Flora, and he's talking about, everybody was talking about their defensive line. He said, they're good. We got some other players who I want to mention too. And Randy, if you'll fire that clip up.
Mariano, Maury, and JD, they all played great tonight. I'm going to take Miles Stroll and inside linebacker, Mario Perkins and inside linebacker, Tyrell Green, and Max Childress are two outside guys. They are really good too, and they don't get a lot of hype. Tyrell's a returning starter, but Max actually hasn't played since his sophomore year. He had to take a year off for some surgery issues, but he's a really good football player, like a really, really good football player. They're fast and long on the edge with those two guys, and it really does make the 40 boys better because you can't just run around them because you have a length and speed at some stretch.
Length and speed on the edges. It's a good combination for your defensive line and linebackers. AC Flora was a problem last year. It looks like it's going to be a problem again this year.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to hear if you're a Lugoff Open fan being in the same region. But the big dominant win, I think we circled that one as another game to watch this week. Two highly ranked teams. The AC Flora kind of blew Westwood out the water. It's not fun for other teams in that region and in Class 4A to see AC Flora back to their old dominant ways.
Irmo 63, Richland Northeast 6. Irmo had a new head coach, Coach Brand, a year ago. This is his second year. It looks like they have bought into the system, putting up 63. Lugoff Elgin gets a big win, 35-19, and we'll spend a little time talking about that game. Randy, that was an interesting game because the first score of the game came from a fumble from Lugoff Elgin. Harder kind of bobbled the handoff from the quarterback, and it hit his knee and rolled 10 yards downfield right to a Dreher defender who was standing near the sideline. And he scooped it up, and he had a convoy 80 yards untouched for the touchdown. Lugoff Elgin then blocked the extra point. So Dreher got up 6-0. They had the momentum. Lugoff Elgin said, not so fast. The Demon defense stifled the Dreher offense all night long. Ethan Hicks flying all over the place as he's done the last 2-3 years at Lugoff Elgin, making plays. The Demons' first score, Scotty Dean, their fullback, who also plays defense, hits the running back in the backfield. Ball pops up. Scotty catches it, walks into the end zone. The Demons take the lead. And from that point on, Lugoff Elgin basically manhandled Dreher on both sides of the football. Tyler Dixon had a big game. Scotty Dean had a big game running the football. Dreher scored another touchdown on a pick six, where the quarterback for Lugoff was rolling out and he tried to throw back across the field, which is not, I'm sure Matt Campbell and the coaches said that's not something you want to do because you can't get enough zip on it to get it to where it needs to go. Dreher got picked it off, took it to the house. But Dreher's offense didn't do much all night. Lugoff Elgin's defense was absolutely fantastic. In fact, I can't tell you how many sacks they got. I mean, it was just one after another. And I'm pretty sure if we had the total stats, and I don't, I wish we did. I think Dreher might have been close to net. I'm pretty sure they were negative yards in rushing. I mean, that defensive line for Lugoff Elgin just ate them alive.
Yeah, it sounds like the offense only gave up one touchdown. The final score was 35-19. The defense was responsible. The offense was responsible for 2 of those touchdowns. So that's good. If you're a Demon fan, you can look a little deeper into that stats and see your defense didn't give up 19 points. They gave up 6 or 7. So Yeah, that's extremely exciting to be a Louisville Elgin fan. You probably like your offense not to give up 12 to 13 points. Though. You probably in the future,
Right.
the defense is fine. You can give up 7 or 6, but offense, please don't give up more points than the defense. But yeah, scoring 35 and only giving up 7 on defense. That's exciting because it's you can eliminate those turnovers.
The Lugoff Elgin punt return, and folks, I apologize. We're still trying to learn everybody's names. A bunch of new players here in the county, but he would have had 2 punt returns for a touchdown. One of them got called back to like the 5-yard line. So I mean, it was a fraction from being 2 punt returns for a touchdown. The return game very good. No Alex Bowers anymore. Horner is our kicker, and he did a fantastic job with the extra points. Lugoff Elgin looked pretty. It was sloppy early, and listen, everybody's going to be that way. They didn't have the amount of time they normally do with 7-on-7s and jamborees and all that to kind of iron this stuff out. But Lugoff Elgin cleaned it up pretty quickly and just manhandled Dreer last night. I was really impressed with Coach Campbell and his football team last night getting a win in region right out of the gate, knocking off Dreer 35-19. All right, we go to Region 5 4A. South Aiken and Aiken postponed. Airport knocks off Midland Valley, shuts them out 20-0. Region 6 4A. Myrtle Beach, you think they missed Luke Doty? Not a chance. 69-0 over Darlington. What was a tight game for most of the game. At one time, it was a 23-21 ball game, but North Myrtle Beach pulls away late. They knock off Hartsville 40-21. Wilson and West Florence scheduled to play today. Region 7 4A. Colleton County 28, Bluffton 7. May River. Rodney Summers, the head coach down there, former Lugoff Elgin Demon, they get a win over James Island, 28-7. And Randy, before we jump into Region 3A, let's take a timeout. Let's get a break in here as we'll go through 3A, 2A, and 1A when we come back. Some interesting scores from around the state. You're listening to the South Carolina High School and College Football Report Show here on Cool 102.7.
Atlantic Pools and Water Features in Lugoff has a special reminder for all you current and future pool owners. Now is the time to buy that pool you've always wanted. And for owners, there's no better time to renovate or maintain your pool than right now.
I got
at Atlantic Pools and Water
all the
Features.
scores on the state, too.
Huh?
I have all the scores on the state.
Yeah, I think these look weird because you only have regions with two games in them, but they're playing somebody from a different
Region doesn't show.
right. So I think we have all of them. It just looks weird.
Yeah.
From supplies to chemicals, accessories, and more, when it comes to pools, Atlantic Pools is full service from design, construction, residential, or commercial, and even renovations for any in-ground pool. Atlantic Pools and Water Features, Highway 601 South in Lugoff. Call 438-7660.
The Community Medical Clinic of Kershaw County would like to thank the patients we serve for being flexible with their appointments. Hello, I'm Susan Witkowski.
I'm just going to run through these.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we'll spend a little time on Fairfield. I mean, they play Keenan. Yeah. We'll mention North Central.
We've
But
been
we'll just,
33 minutes through.
yeah.
AJ won. They won 15-8.
Yeah, they trailed a lot of that game with Central Pageland.
There's 2 in Andrew Jackson Academy.
Yeah.
The other Andrew Jackson Academy won 54-6. You ready to come back?
Do one more when we'll come back. And they hit the
Hi, this is Chris Smith,
Um,
and I'd like to tell you a little bit about our company.
movie quote and then the
We are a locally owned and operated hauling
Come
company
back,
located
Buffer.
in Lugoff. Whether you're a homeowner or a building contractor, we know how
They had
important it
the
is
score
to have
wrong
a
on
hauling
Matt's
company
preps
you can
for the
trust.
first part of the night. They had Pilton beat BHP 29-0. I was like,
That doesn't look right.
that don't look right. But I reported it, and I was like, okay. Halftime, I was like, yeah.
And we can
I thought that looked
usually
kinda funny.
deliver the same day you call. Our
BHP
friendly
beat a
and
4A
experienced
school a
staff
year
are here to
ago.
help you. For more information, give Cripple Creek a call at 438-195. Cripple Creek Corporation, Plaza Drive in Lugoff, serving the Midlands of South Carolina since 1999.
Yes.
And came out. This movie came out, what, 20 years ago this past week?
I actually watched a game at that high school.
Really?
I was stationed in Alexandria, Virginia, which is where they were at.
What's the movie about? Local school.
T.W. Hawkins, T.C. Hawkins High School. It's right outside Washington, D.C.
Where's the movie about the local one, though?
Radio?
Yeah, that's the name of the movie, right?
No, that's Remember the Titans there.
Yeah. I was just trying to remember it. Couldn't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head.
Yes. Remember the Titans. One of my favorite football movies. I love that. I don't want to gain another yard. If they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm pulling you out. Great movie. I've actually been to the high school where that movie was based off of. When I was stationed in Washington, D.C., we lived in Alexandria, which is where his thing is T.C. Hawkins
I think you're right, yeah.
High School, something like that. T.C. Williams, something like that.
Yeah.
Tremendous football atmosphere on Friday nights. I mean, they pack the stadium, and they are loud.
Yeah, you get a movie made about you, and that really helps the whole build around your program.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good movie. I believe this past week, that was 20-year anniversary of
Making me
Remember
feel
the
old,
Titans.
Randy.
Yeah, so it's been out for a while, but like you said, one of the great football movies of all time.
Absolutely. Ryan Hurst, I think was the linebacker. He's played a bunch of the movies. He played in Sons of Anarchy too. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what you must be living under a rock, but if you haven't seen it, it's worth a look. All right, let's jump into 3A. We're going to roll through these. We're already 36 minutes into the show. Region 1, 3A, Belton Honeypath, who dropped down from 4A. They knock off the Fighting Chris Johnson, the Pendleton Bulldogs, 29-7. Daniel, 76. I think they hit the high mark for Friday night as far as points goes. 76-34 over Seneca. Wren, the defending 4A state champs, who have dropped down to 3A. They knocked off Clover, as we told you earlier, 24-21. All right, Region 2, 3A. Southside 24, Berea 8, Blue Ridge 48, Carolina 18, Palmetto 27, Powdersville 22. Region 3, 3A, Chapman lost 27 seniors and their head coach. Didn't matter. They knocked off Woodruff 45-14. Clinton knocked off Emerald 32-25. Region 4, 3A, Chester 28, Mid Carolina 13, Fairfield Central 33, Keenan 12. Good opening week for the Fairfield Central Griffins. They knocked off the Camden Bulldogs a year ago. That was Camden's only loss in region play. Looks like Fairfield Central starting the season off on the right foot. And Randy, we said this last year. Even going into the game, even though they knocked off Camden, who had a very successful season, played for Upper State Championship, we felt like this year Fairfield would be even better than they were a year ago. They had a lot of young players, and they started off on the right foot, 33-12 over Keenan. So a good win there for the Griffins.
Yeah, it's good for Fairfield. Obviously, the big win against Camden last year. And going into that game, I think you and me both talked about it. We felt a little uneasy about having to play Fairfield. They've been getting better. They weren't the Fairfield that we had played the last couple of years and kind of pushed around. And obviously, we went and lost that game. And like you said, it's the only region loss of the year outside of the playoff game. And this year, they started off with a big win over Keenan. Keenan, not a great powerhouse, but it's good to get a win under your belt to start the season. Fairfield is definitely going the right direction, and it was good to see them get an early win over Keenan.
Keenan might struggle in football, but they probably have the fastest team speed-wise in the state.
They do.
They are extremely quick.
A lot of good athletes at Keenan, and they all play basketball.
They do.
They're definitely a basketball school over Keenan.
Region 5, 3A, Brooklyn Casey 41, Fox Creek 6, Gilbert 32, Orangeburg Wilkinson 13. Region 6, 3A, in a defensive battle, Ainer knocks off Lakewood 8-6. Lake City, Crestwood, and Marlborough County and Manning all play today. Manning will be the Bulldogs' opponent coming up this Friday night. That game will be at Manning. Region 738, Dillon, Loris, Waccamaw, and Georgetown all playing on Monday. Region 838, Battery Creek 45, Academic Magnet 7. Oceanside Collegiate, Bishop England. It says Saturday on here. I did see a final score, and I don't know. I know, Max Preps, they do a fantastic job, but sometimes you have people reporting in scores, and you don't know if it's 100% accurate. See if you have
Yeah.
an Oceanside Academy or Oceanside Collegiate rather, in Bishop England. It says Saturday here. North Charleston and Hanahan also scheduled for Saturday.
Yeah, I don't see anything. That was another game that I was pretty sure
Got
got
postponed.
canceled,
Okay.
postponed. I am actually using the state's website at the moment to check these games. It doesn't have that one as being
Okay.
postponed, but it also doesn't have a final score for it, so we'll assume that it's postponed.
All right. Region 1-2A now. Abbeville 63, West Oak nothing. Abbeville continues to be Abbeville.
Dominant.
Christchurch 35, 96-19. Region 2-2A. St. Joseph 20, Blacksburg 6. Chesney 27, Legion Collegiate 16.
That was surprising.
That was surprising. Legion Collegiate, although they were kind of like Catawba Ridge, they weren't in a region last year.
They were very good.
They looked pretty good in the Jamboree last year.
If I'm not mistaken, they were good in 3A.
Yeah.
And then dropped down to 2A.
Yeah, a lot of these teams haven't been able to practice, and that could be the reason why you see some of these scores end up the way they have. All right, Region 3-2A. How about those North Central Knights? They go on the road Thursday night and thump Chesterfield 38-7. Big win for the Knights. Caleb Haven, 2 touchdowns. Shropshire, I cannot remember his first name. He's a wide receiver. He had 2 touchdowns.
Shamir, one of the two.
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns as well. Kudos to Tyrone Drakeford and the coaching staff in North Central. Chesterfield's not an easy place to play, and you have to move the game up a day due to the threat of rain. And they're able to get 38 points upon the board and win 38-7. So congratulations to the Knights.
Yeah, huge step forward for them, especially against a team like Chesterfield in their region. We talked about it last week. Definitely not the hardest team you're going to open with in your region, but it was not the easiest. So to get that early win, it definitely sets you up to get a couple of bigger wins, take another step forward later in the season. It'll be exciting for North Central.
Beaufort always a threat in that region. Always have a good football team, but Sherrall took them down 28-7. Andrew Jackson. Now they've got North Central over here, but they did not play North Central. Obviously, North Central played Chesterfield. It was Central Pageland. So a misprint there. However, AJ got the win 15-8. Good win there by AJ. They were 11-2 a year ago, so watch out for the Volunteers. Region 4-2A, Batesburg-Leesville falls to Gray Collegiate 27-20. Newberry downs Columbia 39-12. Saluda, boy, they look like they're on a quest to try to repeat as they blow out Eau Claire 62-14. Region 5-2A, Barnwell 54, Edisto nothing. Ridge Spring Monetta 26, Pelion 14. Wade Hampton of Hampton 26, Silver Bluff 14. Region 6-2A, bunch of cancellations here. You had Philip Simmons and Burke. They'll play Saturday. Woodland and Lake Marion will play Saturday. Region 7-2A, Marion 28, Andrews 20, Lana 8, Kingstree 6. You had a 1A. In Region 1, McCormick 35, Dixie 8. Whitmire and Ware Shoals was postponed. Region 2, 1A, C.A. Johnson 21, Louisville 14, Lamar 44, Great Falls 12. Region 3, 1A, Blackville Hilda 36, Denmark Olar 6, Williston Elko 48, Calhoun County 6, Wagner Sally 22, HKT, that's Hunter Tyler 6. Region 4, 1A, Carvers Bay and C.E. Murray will play today. Scotts Branch slips past East Clarendon 16-14, and Timminsville shuts out Hemingway 15-0. Region 5-1A, no score for Lakeview and Green Sea Floyd. See if you can find that on the state's website. Johnsonville knocked off Hannah Pamplico 34-20. Branchville and Allendale Fairfax, as we begin Region 6-1A, was postponed. Bamberg Earhart 44, Estill nothing. Region 7-1A, Baptist Hill 58, Charleston Math and Science nothing. Cross 44, Military Magnet nothing. Whale Branch 33, St. John's nothing. We'll go into the skeezes and we'll just read through these scores pretty quickly here. As we want to get to a little college football before we have to sign off here. Augusta Christian and First Baptist postponed. Trinity Collegiate 32. Ben Lippen gets the win though, 35-32 by 3 over Trinity. Wilson Hall 16. Cardinal Newman 6. Hammond 28. Lawrence Manning 7. Heathwood Hall 41. Portugal 13. Thomas Hayward 16. Buford Academy 14. Collinton Prep 20. Hilton Head Christian 45. Put 45 points up on Collinton Prep. Bethesda 40. Hilton Head Prep 15. Pinewood Prep 37. John Paul II 33. Spartanburg Christian 33. Northwood Academy nothing. Carolina Academy and Dillon Christian postponed. PD Academy 24. Robert E. Lee Academy 8. Dorchester Academy 41. Christian Academy 7. St. John's Christian 26. Greenwood Christian 7. Wardlaw 24. Jefferson Davis nothing. Lawrence Academy 64. Northside Christian 14. Richard Wynn over in Winsboro 26. Palmetto Christian 14. W.W. King and Cathedral postponed. Andrew Jackson Academy 54. Charleston Collegiate 6. And Clarendon Hall falls to Holly Hill 28-26. No score. Couldn't find it. Okay. So those are scores we have. As we look ahead to this week's matchup, Randy, do you have those?
I do. I have some of the top for each classification and all the ones in our local listening area. We'll start with 2A. Big game. Andrew Jackson, number 9 currently in 2A, will travel to North Central.
That's a big matchup.
Rivalry game.
Hey, but North Central showed a little something Thursday night, putting up 38 on Chesterfield. So you figure they've got some momentum. That's a big rivalry game between AJ and North Central. That's going to be a game to watch Friday night.
For sure. Some other top games. Number 1, Abbeville will will host Liberty. Number 2, Newberry will travel to number 3, Saluda. So that's a big game in 2A. 2 top 5 teams, 2 top 3 teams.
Actually, I think both of them
lost. So they're currently number 2 and number 3. They won't be when they play, but still nonetheless a top matchup. Others in the Midlands area, Columbia at Great Collegiate. And then if you are in North Central or AJ fan, the other games in your region, Central will travel to Sherrall and Buford will travel to Chesterfield. The only other team with a win in that region is Sherrall. They went 1-0. So good chance for whoever wins between AJ and North Central, if they can get some help from Central Pageland, would jump and separate themselves atop of the pack in their region. We'll move ahead to 3A now. Number 1, Chapman will travel to Emerald. They had a big game for their first week. More than likely, we'll have a big game this week too.
Yeah.
Dillon will travel to Loris on Monday, and then Aner will travel to Dillon on Friday. So those are 2 big games.
2 games in a week.
Yeah, not fun. I've never met a high school coach that likes playing on Monday and then Friday. Camden will travel to Manning. That's a big game. Camden season opener. Be interesting to see. I'm not entirely sure who Manning played week 1. We read it out earlier. They lost, right?
Yes, I believe they did. Hold on, let's see if I can.
Well, we try to get that score and confirm that. Pretty sure they lost. Seneca will travel to Wren, and then if you're a Camden fan, going all around the region, Lakewood at Lake City, and Marlborough County will host Crestwood. That'll fill out the region schedule as Camden looks to bounce back, open up their season. All these other teams in our region are playing today, so pretty sure we don't have a Manning score because they're playing today, right?
Yeah, Marlboro County and Manning play today. Lake City and Crestwood also play today, and Lakewood lost to Aner 8-6.
Yeah, so we had all those scores from inside the region. Today, while you're waiting, while you're sitting around maybe at halftime of the South Carolina game tonight, you can check for some of those scores from around the region. Stay up to date with what's going on with teams. The Camden Bulldogs will have to play later in the season.
There's some history between these two teams, Randy.
There's history between
Camden and Manning.
Camden and Manning.
Yes, this is a little before your time here.
Yeah, I think so.
To my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think these two teams have played each other since my senior year of high school, which was 2001.
Yeah.
We played Manning for the lower state championship game at Zip Stadium. Richie Williams was the quarterback, and I think it was 7-0 in the first half. And they did a hit on Richie out of bounds that was well out of bounds up around the fence area, and it hurt Richie, but it wasn't like an ACL, nothing like that. He probably had a sprained knee or something, but he was on one good leg. And Manning ended up getting the win and going and playing Union County for the state championship. To my knowledge, that was the last time these two teams have played. It's funny because there was the guy that did the hit on Richie out of bounds actually went to Clemson with Charles Bennett.
Wow.
And those two guys did not talk about that game. If you ever met Charles, you understand why. Yeah, you don't want to make him mad. But to my knowledge, that's the last time those two teams have played. So I know these kids have no earthly idea. Probably, well, Jafari probably.
I will say, quarterback Jafari Pearson, being Richie Williams' nephew, probably has a good idea about that.
Right.
Game.
He's probably the only one, but
wasn't born anything yet.
But from a fan standpoint, pretty good storylines going into that game.
Yeah, a lot of Camden fans have been around for a while. We don't really have any bandwagon Camden fans. A lot of diehards. So that's one a lot of people will have circled. Not sure how many will make the trip to Manning. Not sure how many will be allowed. But I bet we'll have a lot of people listening to that game this weekend. Like I said, already around the region, Lakewood at Lake City, Marlboro County will host Crestwood. We'll get some scores. Both scores. We'll have the scores for this week and next week for you next Saturday around Camden's region. Class 4A, Greenville will travel to Lawrence. In the area, Richland Northeast will travel to AC Flora.
Boy.
Yeah, that's in Lugoff Elgin's region if you're a Lugoff Elgin Demon fan.
That's tough for R&E to open up with Irmo and Flora.
It couldn't have been worse. You could not have drawn a worse first two in your whole region. But I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of downs for R&E this year, and not a whole lot of ups. There's really not a break in that schedule.
Right.
Dreer, who would be the one break in the schedule, I think, for R&E, and even then, it's not that big of one. We'll travel to number 6. Was number 6. They may jump now. I believe they won big to travel to Irma.
Yeah, Irma won big, 63-6. I think it was.
So they may jump up a little higher. These are rankings as of Thursday, the day before all these games. So these aren't accurate as of reflecting last night's scores. Westwood will travel to Lugoff Elgin. They'll be right down the road from us, and that'll be a big game for Lugoff Elgin because first of all, you're 1-0. Westwood's 0-1, so that could put some separation between you. And like we said before, we felt like AC Flora, Westwood, and Irma were going to be the 3 teams Lugoff had to fight with for that second playoff spot. You can beat Westwood. That almost eliminates one of those teams from the equation. So that should be exciting.
Well, don't forget, Lugoff beat Westwood a year ago to open up the season. So they have the confidence going in that they can beat Westwood. On the other side of the coin, Westwood's probably looking back going, we probably shouldn't have lost that game. And being 0-1, you cannot afford to fall to 0-2 in region play. So the Red Hawks are going to be trying to get their first regional win, but it's going to be tough sledding against that Lugoff defense. They looked really good last night.
Yeah, and then another game of interest in Class 4A, Hartsville will travel to West Florence. Those are 2 teams that are historically on Camden's schedule. Obviously, Hartsville's been on there for the last 90 years. And West Florence, it seems like the last, 8 to 10 years have been on the schedule. And it's almost developed its own sense of rivalry. I didn't like playing West Florence, and I don't think West Florence liked playing Camden. But it's definitely the fans enjoy it, and the players know it's going to be a tough game, regardless of where each team is as a program in a given year.
Last year, I think it was the first year we hadn't played in a while, and of course they're not on the schedule this year. That's going to be an interesting ball game. You know, Hartsville came up short last night. They're going to be looking to get a win.
I think West Florence plays today, so we don't have their
Right.
obviously.
And Hartsville doesn't have the horses that they had when they had Tyon Evans and all those guys. They're still a good football team. Obviously, they made a deep run in the playoffs. They fell to Brooklyn Casey, I think, in the third round last year. Jeff Calabrese does a fantastic job over at Hartsville. That'd be a game to watch next Friday night.
Yeah, it should be exciting. We'll move to Class 5A and wrap this up so we can talk about some Gamecock football. Big game, maybe the game of the week in the whole state. Number 3, Dorman, who had a big win this past week, will travel to Gaffney. That's non-region. That Gaffney's whole region has an odd number. So a couple of those teams have gaps, and Gaffney's one of them. And they decided to put Dorman as one of their non-regions, and that is just a huge matchup in the state of South Carolina.
A lot of people were showing a lot of love for Gaffney in the off season. And even some of them were predicting Gaffney to knock off Dutch Fork. Listen, until somebody beats Dutch Fork in the state championship game, it's Dutch Fork's trophy to lose.
Yeah.
And that's no slight on Gaffney at all. They got a fantastic football team. That is a huge matchup. We just talked about Dorman came a couple points short of beating Dutch Fork in the state championship game. So for Gaffney, this is a measuring stick.
This is the first.
You want to get all the pub and the praises in the offseason, that's fine. Now it's time to show, hey, are you really a legitimate title contender? You'll find out Friday night when you go to Dorman.
Yeah, because Gaffney wasn't exactly dominant in week 1, and both Dorman and Dutch Fork were. So it'll be interesting to see if Gaffney can actually hold up. Dorman, obviously the home of current South Carolina quarterback Colin Hill. So he'll have an eye on that game also, we imagine. We just talked about it. Dutch Fork, we consider them the king until they're knocked off the throne. Chapin will have the chance as Dutch Fork travels to Chapin.
Chapin, you're not going to score 40 unanswered points. So you might not want to dig yourself into a hole.
I think
that's going to be tough.
They dug themselves a 27-7 hole this past week before coming back and getting a win 47-27. Can't do that against Dutch Fork. I'm almost certain that will not work. Other games in the area, Sumter at Rock Hill. That'll be a big one. Rock Hill just lost to Spring Valley. That was a minor upset, but one I think we actually called it last week. So, if you want accurate predictions, just come listen to us.
Rock Hill's got a great tight end that's going to Alabama.
Yeah.
Rock Hill's got a good football team. There were a couple of years there where they struggled.
Yeah.
But they seem to be back on the up and up. Played a great game with Spring Valley last night. Came up a little short, but
17-12 was the final there.
But it was a tight ball game. That's going to be a tough. Sumter's a good football team too. Now they did lose their corner and a wide receiver to college.
Yeah.
The corner's at Carolina now.
Wide receivers at North Carolina.
Odell Fortune's at Carolina, and I can't remember the wide receiver's name, but he's at North Carolina too.
Yeah, we've had this discussion looked up. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
That's going to be an interesting game to watch. We'll see. Sumter pretty much had it easy last night. They pretty much rolled pretty easily. Rock Hill played in a tight ball game, so we'll see. We'll see what happens Friday night between those two teams.
Other games in the listening area. River Bluff is a team that's just outside of our listening area. We've covered them a few times on the station. They'll travel to South Aiken. Ridgeview will travel to Spring Valley. Those are two teams that are in our listening area that will be really exciting.
With each other.
A local rivalry matchup there. And then Northwestern will travel to Blythewood. Blythewood, another team that we've covered in this area. So those are all exciting. Those are some games to watch for if you're in our listening area. If you're outside of our listening area, we gave you Gaffney at Dorman. There's another big game in 2A that we had, Newberry at Saluda. So there are definitely some big games, high matchups around the state. And most importantly, for people in our listening area, you have North Central at AJ. Lugoff will host Westwood, and then Camden will travel to Manning. All three Kershaw County teams will be in action.
Just for the people that are in our listening area, Camden and Manning will be on 102.7. Lugoff and Westwood will be on 98.7 1590 Carolina's Country Classics. Both air times are set for 7 o'clock. And as we do on the broadcast, I'm sure Jeremy Murphy will help out our buddy EP Emerson Phillips at halftime, and Randy will definitely help me out to give you scores throughout the night in each team's region, see how the other teams are doing. Be sure to tune into both of those games. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we will preview the 2020 kickoff of the South Carolina Gamecocks as they have the Tennessee Volunteers tonight at Williams-Brice Stadium. We return on the South Carolina High School and College Football Report Show here on Cool 102.7.
Hi, this is Jeff Bull. As we enter into a season.
Pull away again.
I don't understand. ESPN has Tennessee a 3.5-point favorite, but on the FBI, whatever index, it
Yeah.
shows you the percentage of winning. South Carolina's a 58% chance of winning.
Yeah, one of them, the 3.5 line is what Vegas says. And the FBI is what the computer shows. Of simulations, they simulate it however many times, and in their simulations, Carolina won 58% of the time. So I'll take it.
I think Tennessee's got a lot of question marks. They have 40 people out at one time. That's got to affect them, you would think.
They'll be back at least.
Well, yeah, but I mean they missed the practice time. Though.
Yeah. My question marks with Carolina are: do we have the talent at certain positions? I'm confident enough that our running backs will combine for 100 yards.
Wide receiver, question mark.
Zero answers a wide receiver. Colin Hill's even a question mark.
Tight end, I think you're pretty good there with Muse.
Too bad we won 2 and 3 tight end sets now.
I like the fullback though.
Love the fullback. I have not a
I
question
don't
mark.
know why we got away from that. Patrick DeMarco was a beast. He went from being basically a walk-on to NFL guy.
Yeah, I'm not worried about fullback at all. But
I ran it,
I'm not worried about fullback or defense. But outside of that, more than everything else.
All right, movie clip and a sounder. Or whatever you call it, buffer.
Are we doing predictions?
Of course.
Gotcha.
Yes.
48 minutes.
Love that movie.
Let's go out there.
Man, this is where I catch the ball and run around like I don't want to do, right? This is about just catch the football. No.
We've got the rest of our lives to be here. We have the opportunity to play like gods for the next half of football. But we can't be afraid to lose. There's no room for fear in this game. When we go out there, we have to because we're scared. All of that with the things stinks. We're always going to win. But we go out there and we give it absolutely everything. That's heroic. Let's be heroes.
The rest of our lives will be mediocre.
Now back to Nick Martin and Randy Cambites on the High School and College Football Report Show.
Yes. I wonder if that played in the champion locker room at halftime because they played like heroes in the second half, coming back from a 27-7 deficit. That's one of my favorite clips.
It is.
It's just something, just keeps you fired like this. Let's go. And then, of course, Billy Bob, who's left us now, but the favorite part when they call that last, this is where I run around all that and no one doing, huh? Just catch the ball, Billy Bob. No. I'm an offensive lineman. I'm not supposed to catch a football.
It's a nice mix between comedy and serious football. And
Varsity Blues for you guys who don't know the movie. It's a good movie.
I don't know too many guys who don't like that movie.
Well, yeah.
It's almost the perfect guy movie.
It is.
Stupid comedy mixed with football. And that'll keep any guy entertained for at least 2 hours.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. All right, the Clemson Tigers have the week off. They're getting ready for Virginia next weekend. South Carolina kicks off their season tonight at Williams-Brice Stadium. 20,000 fans will be at Willie B, and I'm not worried about the fans. If you go back to the Missouri game a couple of years ago in a downpour, there's probably 20,000 fans there. They're pretty loud.
The loudest you will ever hear it. Not a lot of students will be there. I've been getting as a student in the USC family of campuses. I get emails for games. We have something like 3,000 or 4,000 tickets reserved for students tonight. So a ton of students will be there. Very loud. Those students over in South Carolina are hard to handle. So they'll definitely be loud. Sandstorm will be loud. They'll probably have all their towels tied together along the student section like they always do, slinging them. But yeah, I'm just hoping that everybody who has a ticket is ready to scream. I'm not sure how they limit tickets. I know at Clemson, you only get one, right? I think that's how South Carolina's working too. So you really don't need your voice after this week. You might as well just go ahead and lose it tonight.
Right.
Be extremely loud, pulling for the Gamecocks.
This is an interesting matchup. The last 10 games between the Tennessee Volunteers and the South Carolina Gamecocks, minus last year, has been decided by 7 points or less. This has turned into a pretty good rivalry between these two schools. Going into the game, though, a lot of question marks for both teams. Jeremy Pruitt was listed on the hot seat going in, and I don't understand why. Well, yeah, let me take it back. I do understand why. I don't agree with it, put it that way. Tennessee's one of those programs that they expect to be competing for an SEC championship year in and year out. They have the history, and it just hadn't happened. You know, they brought in Jeremy Pruitt, struggled his first year. Better season last year, won their final 6 games, including their bowl game. But they lost a lot of talent on the defensive line. And an interesting stat, Randy. Tennessee scored 5 touchdowns a year ago against South Carolina. Every player that was responsible for a touchdown that game a year ago, no longer there. Jawan Jennings, gone. He was a big playmaker at wide receiver. You still got Guteramo, or I think that's how you say his last name.
Gartano.
Yeah. You still got him at quarterback, and even Tennessee wasn't sold on him. They're like, oh, I guess you're the starter since you got the experience. But going in this game, let's just talk a little bit about the positions here. No surprise, Colin Hill was named the starting quarterback at South Carolina, and I know people are like, well, why would you say that? Ryan Helinski played good last year, albeit on one leg. He threw for 300 yards against Alabama. Yes, I'm not questioning Ryan Helinski's talent at all, but you got to understand, Mike Bobo is now the offensive coordinator at South Carolina, and Colin Hill has been in his playbook basically for 3 years.
More than that, really.
So you don't want to put Helinski out there in a new offense where he's having to think and play the game of football. In any sport, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, you don't want to think. You should just be a reaction. You know the play so well, you just react to it. You don't want to be out there trying to think, well, do I go 10 yards and out here? Do I go 10 yards and in? Am I running a post, slant? You don't want to have that on the football field. So you put Colin Hill out there, and you let Ryan Helinski kind of see it from the sideline, see how he runs the offense. I think South Carolina's running game would have been exceptionally better with Marshawn Lloyd, obviously, but you don't have him. Kevin Harris is getting the start. He's a big back who can punish the defensive line and linebackers and can eat up yardage. You've also got Deshaun Fenwick back there. Probably see a little bit of Zaquandre Wright, depending on that hamstring.
Rashad Amos also is another freshman that's been making noise. So probably see all 4 running backs at least a little bit. I'm not sure how much White will play, but I think a couple weeks down the line he'll probably be getting the first team snaps.
I like the fact that Carolina's going back to a fullback. We had a really good one in Patrick DeMarco back in the Steve Spurrier run when we won 10 and then 11 and 11 games. I think that benefits South Carolina's roster a ton, especially when you have the question marks at wide receiver that South Carolina has. Shi Smith, good wide receiver. Is he a number 1? You don't know. He's never had to be. You had Deebo Samuel, Brian Edwards. Deebo got drafted, and you had Brian Edwards. Last year, if Shi Smith was covered, we're going to Brian. He's going to make a play, and he did. He's now starting with the Las Vegas Raiders at wide receiver. So
for good reason.
Right. So can Shi Smith be that number 1 guy? We don't know. Behind him, he gets a little sketchy. Rico Powers, Jakari Caldwell has been
2 good freshmen.
2 good freshmen
that are in the top 6 receiver rotation.
You got Dak Joyner, who's made the move to wide receiver, and Luke Doty.
Yeah. Xavier Legette, the 3 starting wide receivers are Shi Smith, and then Xavier Leggett behind him, and then Carryon Joyner. So Shi Smith will move outside, and Carryon Joyner will play in the slot. And it's not a deep wide receiver charge. Quarterback Luke Doty is Shi Smith's backup at wide receiver. Obviously, South Carolina would have loved it to get Jalen Brooks eligible, but it didn't happen. Xavier Leggett made some good plays last year. Jalen Brooks, I think, will become eligible. He'll win his appeal, but obviously it won't be this week. Might not be next week either. So this is what we're going to roll with for now. Be interesting to see how these guys step up. We've seen the Carryon Joyner. Dude's explosive with the ball in his hand. It'll be interesting to see how he plays. If he plays well out of the slot, that'll be a big step for Carolina. Like you said, with fullback Adam Prentice, that'll be a big boost, not just to the run game, but I think they'll throw the ball a little bit with him in there. That'll allow them to leap the running back out the backfield, and he'll be almost a sixth offensive lineman. Keep Colin Hill, really protect him, because Colin Hill, people complain about Ryan Olinsky not being too mobile. Neither is Colin Hill. Dude's had 3 ACL injuries. He's not going to move a whole lot. So you really need to protect him in the pocket, because you don't want, first of all, the dude has 3 ACL injuries. You don't want him to injure himself. And second of all, you don't want him to have to worry about getting sacked anyways. So, like you said, you don't want him to have to think in the pocket. It'll be interesting to see how the receivers play. I'm pretty confident with the run game and the offensive line, even though they haven't named a starting right tackle, which I wish they would have.
Yeah, and I've heard this for 4 or 5 years in a row, and until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. They say this is the best offensive line that Will Muschamp's had since he's been here. I like the fullback because it does give you another pass protector if you run play action pass. I look at it this way. Tennessee's weakness on defense is their defensive line. So if Carolina can establish the run, then I think Carolina's going to be very successful. If Carolina continues to have an inept running game, that's easy to play defense, right? If you can't run the football, the safeties don't have to come downhill to run support. They can play their pass zone. The corners don't have to be peeking in the backfield to see if it's a run play. They can just guard their dude. I think South Carolina. I like Dak Prescott in the slot. Dak Joyner, not Dak Prescott. Dak Joyner. Yes.
Dak Prescott.
No, I don't. Cowboys are trash. Anyway, that is a different story for another day. Dak Joyner, I like him in the slot. Simply because he is good with the football in his hand. My thing is as he comes across the middle, is he willing to sacrifice his body to make that catch? Being a quarterback, your mindset's not normally wanting to take on a hit, obviously. But I do like Shi Smith on the outside for his speed. I don't know if he can be that guy. We'll see. Defensively, look, South Carolina's defense was really good a year ago. Now, you're going to say, well, wait a minute. You got blown out by Tennessee. But let's look at the grand scheme of things. You look at the Georgia game when South Carolina had no offense when Haleski got hurt. And South Carolina consistently stuffed the run.
Not only stuffed the run, but took the ball away.
Right. You had 3 interceptions by McQuamu. If the offense can move the football, and I don't mean score points every time.
Just
obviously,
hold the ball long enough to keep the defense off the field for a little bit, because with Brian McClendon as your offensive coordinator, the offense did not do any favors for the defense. Brian McClendon constantly sprinted Carolina's offense into a wall. Third and out, 3 and out in a matter of a minute, and then your defense has to get on the field. Not going to see that with Mike Bobo. So I expect South Carolina to take up, even if they go 3 and out, still take up, 2 or 3 minutes of the game clock, plus a little bit the rest of your defense. And I really don't expect us to go 3 and out too often. I expect us to be able to sustain drives, even if it's not ending in points. And with that, there's no excuse for South Carolina's defense not to be top half of the SEC statistically.
Yeah, I don't. McClendon wanted to run that hurry-up offense, and that's fine as long as you're moving the football. But when you're running a hurry-up offense and you're going 3 and out, and you're only taking 45 seconds to a minute off the clock, it's not enough for your defense to rest. I agree. I think Bobo's going to be more of a let's take our time, let's get the right play in, and let's execute. On the defensive side of the ball, You got Ernest Jones at linebacker, Sherrod Green. Those are two really good linebackers for South Carolina. Don't really know about the third one. That third one's kind of
Brad Johnson looks like he's going to be the starter.
yeah. That's kind of up. Brad's we haven't seen enough of him basically.
Yeah, he's played the Buck, Jadeveon Clowney-esque position the last couple of years. He has stepped back to a strong side linebacker as Kingsley Enagbare, who's played at Carolina for a while, done some good things, and Jordan Birch, who everybody knows his name, top 5 commit in country, top 5 recruit for South Carolina, will take the Buck position, allowing Brad Johnson to step back to a strong linebacker. So he won't be left with as much responsibility in the coverage game or getting out wide into space. So that'll be good for him, I think. And Ernest Jones and Sherrod Green should be able to hold down the other two linebacker positions. And then obviously the DBs are, you feel really, really comfortable with 3 out of the 4 spots. And the fourth spot in the secondary, you still look at it and you're like, okay, I'll take that.
Right.
With R.J. Roderick and then the corners are J.C. Horn, Israel McQuamu, and then Jamie Robinson, who's one of the best young players on South Carolina's whole football team. And he'll also have kick and punt return duties.
Yeah, I'm not so much worried about the secondary as much as I was a year ago. I'm worried a little bit at that linebacker spot, that Buck position, that weak side. Just I don't know how that's going to play out. But I will say this: I think South Carolina's defensive line is going to be really, really good. Yeah, you lost Javon Kinlaw, but you got Pickens there. You got Tonka Hemingway, who's a freshman I've heard a lot of good things about. You got Philip Sterling on the defensive end. You got the other kid from Hammond.
That's Alex Huntley. He's
Boogie,
out. He's out for this week. He might mess up his ankle, so he won't be here this week. But going forward, he'll definitely be a big impact player. Another guy is DJ Wadham, who you lost. He'll be hard to replace. Only part I'm really worried about is defensive end depth. Like you said, Tonka Hemingway is on the 2 deep. Defensive tackle, you have Keir Thomas and Jabari Ellis are starting, but I do expect the backup Zach Pickens and Rick Sandage to play more. They're just physically bigger. Jabari Ellis and Keir Thomas are both undersized. They're almost defensive ends who have to step into the middle. No, I definitely expect them to kind of shuffle their way out and let the big guys come in and try to push around that really good Tennessee offensive line.
Special teams, Parker White's definitely gotten better. Tennessee normally has a pretty good kicker. Turnovers is going to be, I think, the difference in this ball game, especially with the limited practice time. Going right into conference play, you don't have a Charleston Southern to beat up on to work your kinks out. Who can protect the football the most? Saw it last night, Randy. Lugoff Elgin had 2 defensive touchdowns. So did Dreer. So it's one of those things where who can protect the football wins the ball game. Tennessee's a 3.5-point favorite. With Florida next week, I won't say this is a must-win game because you can lose this game. If you lose by 3, it's not that big a deal. Okay, you play close. How you look is going to tell us a lot. If the offense is struggling still, and you go into Florida next week, it ain't gonna be pretty because you got Florida, Auburn, LSU.
Auburn's later in the year. It's Florida and Vanderbilt, honestly, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
So Vanderbilt should give us a break, you'd think.
But you got 2 out of the next 3 games are brutal. So
absolutely brutal.
It just depends on how you play. I think South Carolina can win this football game. Guillermo is not a very accurate passer.
Garantano is
Garantano.
He's Jake Bentley-like. He's not as good as Jake Bentley. And, South Carolina fans can think, wow, he's trash. I promise if Jake Bentley was still at South Carolina, he'd be the starter. But Garantano he's often compared to him. He's very inconsistent. If you put pressure on him, he's not good. He doesn't have the arm talent of Jake Bentley. Doesn't have the decision. Jake Bentley doesn't have the best decision making, but his isn't even as good as Jake Bentley's. I think, like you said, turnovers. I trust Colin Hill to not turn the ball over. I trust him to make every throw. His only problem is that sometimes he trusts his arm too much, and that's That's the only situation where he ever gets himself in any trouble. And even in most of the time when he trusts his arm too much, he's still putting it where it's not getting picked off. It's just throws that have almost no chance of being caught. And this Garantano is a guy that often you wonder why he throws the ball where he does sometimes. And I think he'll turn the ball over a few times, especially with our secondary being what it is now, on top of Tennessee losing their top two receivers. If you take those two receivers away from the Carolina game last year, we win. We don't lose to Tennessee. So the fact that you take them away, you've not really replaced them. You have Jalen Hyatt, who's a freshman, but I mean, a lot of fans were mad that he didn't go to South Carolina. No, I'm not sure the offer was there.
Yeah, you take what you say about Garrett Uteramo, and I know I'm butchering that name, but it'll be all right. His decision making and his inaccuracy, and you pair that with a young wide receiver group, that's a recipe for disaster potentially. And it's almost like he won the quarterback job by default, right? Like you're just like, well, here's what we got at the quarterback spot, and he's the least, he's the best of what we got. So I guess you're the starter. It wasn't like he went out and won the job.
There's no other option at Tennessee.
Right.
It's not like we're South Carolina where you have two good quarterbacks
Right.
who just, Colin Hill outthrew Ryan Helinski. I promise Colin Hill's playing because he's better than Ryan Helinski. I'm not saying Ryan Helinski's bad. You should be excited if you're a South Carolina fan and you love Ryan Helinski. We have somebody better than him now.
Right.
For now, I think Ryan Helinski will be the starting quarterback next year, and probably all the way up until it's Gunnar Stockton's time to come play at Carolina. So, but for now, Colin Hill, I do trust him to win the quarterback battle against Garantano this week. I trust him to win it tonight. Going ahead, we'll see against some of the other quarterbacks, but that'll be a big edge for me. As long as South Carolina doesn't put the ball on the ground fumble-wise, I don't think Colin Hill will throw any interceptions. I don't trust Tennessee's DBs to really get any interceptions anyway. So it'll be interesting to see. J.C. Horn obviously is a lockdown corner, 0 career interceptions. I think he'll get one tonight. So it'll be interesting to see tonight. But yeah, I think that's what you have to look forward to. I know it's pretty basic to say, oh, just walk the turnover battle, but really, I mean, if you can find a different way to separate these two teams beside turnovers, by all means, you go ahead and let me know. I can't find one.
And you can talk about this more than I can because you played the wide receiver position, but I went back and watched some highlights from that Tennessee game a year ago. They use a lot of motion, a lot of window dressing up front, and it makes the DBs and the safeties communicate. So communication between those two spots for South Carolina is going to be extremely important. The guy comes in motion, who's sliding over to pick him up? Is the communication there? Is there going to be a bust? That's what happened last year in the Tennessee game with Juwan Jennings on 2 of his touchdown catches. The corner thought he had safety help. The safety thought the corner was going to have him, and he's wide open down the field. Can't have that tonight. The communication has got to be there. Make sure that you limit the big plays.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Being a receiver and knowing your offensive coordinator is confusing the DBs, most exciting thing in the world because there's going to be a bust at some point. You're going to be left wide open. I would love to see South Carolina's defense I trust every single one of our DBs to play man, but I'd love to see them play almost a zone tonight because, you got to trust that defensive line and the linebackers to stop the run to the point where you can play zone. And that way you don't really have to worry about switching. You just kind of play your zone, and you can keep everything in front of you. Because if you play man, it's the same DBs we had last year: Jamie Robinson, R.J. Roderick, Israel Mukwamu, J.C. Horn, and they're better. But I'd be nervous about a breakdown in coverage if we tried to play man all night. So that's definitely something to look forward to. It'll be interesting to see. Like we said, Tennessee hasn't had a full run of practice. It'll be interesting to see if they can get way into the bag with all the switching and motion and stuff beforehand to really confuse Carolina. But like I said, I hope they can. If they do, I'd like to stay in zone just to make it as easy as possible on your DBs. That's what South Carolina was playing a whole lot in that Georgia game. Was a lot of zone. You see 6'5" Mukwamu can go up and get everything. He covers a whole lot of area in his zone coverage. So I'd like to see zone. I don't know if we will. but I think that'll be a big key to the game is covering Tennessee's motion on offense.
Predictions.
That's tough.
you know it's gonna go there.
I'll go Carolina 24-17. I trust the defense a whole lot. I don't trust the offense to score as much as 24, but I think the offense will complement the defense, and the defense will repay them with some good field position. So I think they'll be able to push across 24 points. And I don't expect even if South Carolina loses, it'll be 20-10. We won't score a lot of offense, and neither will Tennessee. So it'll be a low scoring game. I'll take Carolina to score just enough.
I'm gonna go the opposite route. I'm gonna go 34-21. And I just think that not having a team to scrimmage, if you will, FCS school for both teams. Now, granted, Tennessee lost to Georgia State a year ago to open up the season. They historically start off slow. I think there's going to be some busts on both sides, and maybe early in the first half, and they kind of settle down as the game goes along. I think South Carolina with Mike Bobo, who is a exceptional play caller, I think they find a way to put points on the board, whether it be the running game or whether it be running game, then play action pass, hit a big play. I think South Carolina takes care of Tennessee 34-21. Before we get off here, let's go through some matchups here. We're not going to pick scores. We'll just pick a winner. All right, we'll start with a noon game. Number 3, Oklahoma at K-State. K-State beat Oklahoma a year ago. Oklahoma's a 28-point favorite.
I'll probably take them to cover.
All right.
Take Oklahoma heavy.
I'm going to go Sooners too. K-State, not the K-State of a year ago. They lost a lot of talent. Also a noon game, number 5, Florida in Oxford to take on Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. Florida a 14-point favorite.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game to watch, but I'll still take Florida. I have my eyes on that one. That's probably the new game to watch today.
I'll go with Florida as well. Another noon game, one that's getting a lot of talk. Number 23, Kentucky at number 8, Auburn. Auburn just a 7.5-point favorite.
I'm not sure where the talk's coming from. Kentucky's a good football team. They always have a good defense, good line of scrimmage.
You're a Bo Nix guy, though.
I'm a huge Bo Nix guy. You give me Auburn all day long. I think he's better than Sam Howell in North Carolina.
I think Auburn wins. I don't think they cover.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kentucky's defense is pretty good.
And
their offense is, it's okay.
I can see South Carolina looking a lot like a Kentucky football team this year, where their offense just complements their defense so well. I think if South Carolina has a good year, it'll be because we play like Kentucky.
What's the quarterback,
Terry Wilson?
Terry Wilson is back after suffering an ACL a year ago. No receivers, though. There's no Lynn Bowden on the sidelines.
I wouldn't even count Terry Wilson as quarterback. Dude can't throw, but he can run. So you're pretty much playing with Lynn Bowden, the quarterback again.
All right. Noon game. I know where you're going with this one. The East Carolina Pirates are hosting Central Florida.
Easy win. UCF. Move us up the rankings. The fact that we're not top 10 right now is ridiculous. If UCF doesn't make the playoffs this year, then something's wrong with the system.
Yeah, I'll take Central Florida. All right, another noon game. For the first time in 70 years, Randy, 70, the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana are ranked. Number 19, they take on Georgia Southern at triple option. Louisiana is 11.5-point favorites. I'll go with the Raging Cajuns.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take Louisiana. Maybe the best team in Louisiana. You got to watch out for them.
Right. Another noon kickoff. 21st ranked Pittsburgh taking on 24th ranked Louisville. Pitt's a 3-point favorite. Louisville vastly improved a year ago under first-year coach Satterfield. I'm going to go with the Cardinals here. I don't know why Pittsburgh is ranked. I can see where Louisville's improvement may have gotten them, 24, 25 in the rankings. I'm going to go with Louisville here.
I feel like Louisville was unjustly punished for losing to Miami like they did. Neither of these teams should be ranked. They're just ranked because of
lack of teams.
Right. So we'll go Louisville just because I do feel like they're better and that the rankings are almost irrelevant this year.
All right, Mississippi State at LSU. That is a 3:30 kick on CBS. LSU a 16.5-point favorite.
Yeah, LSU.
LSU And I'm sorry, Mike Leach, but the air raid offense will not work in the SEC.
Definitely not against LSU.
No. 3:30 on Fox. 8th ranked Texas at Texas Tech. Texas is a 17.5-point favorite.
Texas will win. Texas Tech. If they still have Pat Mahomes, they may not win this game. So I'll take Texas.
Who did they play last week? Like Baptist.
Houston Baptist.
Who just Baptist, and they almost lost.
33-31.
Yeah, hook 'em horns all day long.
Give me Texas.
How about Cedric Cunningham and the Black Knights of Army, ranked 22nd? They're 3:30 kick on ESPN against Cincinnati. These two teams have met quite a bit over the last couple of years. Cincinnati's a 12.5-point favorite. I'm gonna go with the Black Knights here. They lead the nation in rushing yards, 700 yards already in 2 weeks. Run the football, Randy. You can win ball games. Give me the Black Knights.
When the only thing you do is run the football, it's easy to rack up that many yards, especially against the teams they play. Give me Cincinnati. They play in the third best conference in the country and a very talented football team. I'll take Cincinnati to beat Army. And what did you say the spread was?
12.5.
I'll take the cover. Give me Cincinnati plus 12.5.
Okie State is at home today at 3:30. 6.5-point favorite over West Virginia.
I'll take Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I'm going Okie State too.
They may not have their quarterback there. I'm not sure. Spencer Sanders may not be playing. But I'll still take Oklahoma State.
4:00 kick on the SEC Network. Georgia at Arkansas. Georgia's a 28-point favorite. The quarterback position at Georgia is a big question mark, but it's Arkansas.
As long as you can hand the ball off at Georgia,
right.
You can play quarterback. I'll take Georgia just because Arkansas is trash. But I do think quarterback position will come back to bite Georgia at some point for a couple of losses. I'll take Florida to win the SEC East if you ask me today.
Another big favorite at 7 p.m. on ESPN. They're a 28.5-point favorite. Alabama at Missouri.
Yeah, Alabama all the way.
Roll Tide. Vanderbilt at Texas A&M. Texas A&M ranked number 10. Texas A&M is a 30.5-point favorite. Give me the points.
You want Vanderbilt with the points?
With the points.
I'll take the points for Vanderbilt, and I'll take the outright win for Texas A&M. I don't think A&M will win by 20 or by 30 points.
No.
Just because they probably won't want to. And Vanderbilt, they're an SEC football team. They can cover 30.
Defensively, Vanderbilt's not bad.
Not the worst team in the SEC.
But the offense has been inept.
For years.
Rivalry game in the ACC at 7:30 on ABC. 12th ranked Miami takes on Florida State. Miami's 11.5-point favorite. All you got to do is say the quarterback's name for Miami. He's going to be the X factor in this ball game. Miami rolls big in this one.
Yeah, Derek King, former Houston Cougar. Florida State's so bad at football. So I'll take Miami. Interesting note for Florida State, though. Every team, we haven't said this yet, every team will make a bowl game this year. They announced that, I believe it was yesterday. Current projections have South Carolina playing Florida State in the Gator Bowl.
We got a little unfinished business with Florida State back with Stephen Garcia and Marcus Lattimore down in Atlanta.
That'd be a fun matchup. I'll take Miami, and Florida State will probably go 3-7 in the ACC this year.
Last two games real quick here. 20th ranked Virginia Tech kicks off their season at home at 8 o'clock on the ACC Network against NC State. Virginia Tech's a 7-point favorite. Give me Inner Sandman and Lane Stadium all night long. Hokies win that one over NC State.
I'll take Virginia Tech.
BYU at Troy. Could be an interesting matchup. Troy's a pretty good football team at the Sun Belt. Sun Belt's knocked off some teams already this year that they probably shouldn't have.
You could probably say the Sun Belt's better than the Big 12 right now.
Probably so. BYU a 14.5-point favorite.
I love BYU's quarterback is amazing.
He's good
to watch. I'll take BYU.
He is good. They curb stomped Navy pretty bad earlier this year. I like BYU as well. Make sure there's not anybody else who want to hit first. Duke and Virginia at 4 o'clock. Virginia's a 4.5-point favorite. This is Virginia's first game. Duke is 0-2. I might go with Duke just because they played 2 games and Virginia has not.
Yeah, that'll definitely help them out. So I'll take Duke, not because they're good, but because Virginia is no games and they're probably not good either. And Clemson will probably kill them next week. So they have that to look forward to.
I was trying to see. I don't see Coastal on here. I was trying to see if they were playing. They may be off this week.
I was thinking Coastal played in the midweek, maybe. They played Thursday. Or was that last week that they played on Thursday?
That was last week. The Thursday games, UAB beat South Alabama 42-10, and the Roadrunners from the University of Texas San Antonio knocked off Middle Tennessee 37-35.
Yeah, so I'm not sure we'll have a Coastal Carolina game this week.
Georgia State, Sean Hick, head coach down there, their game with Charlotte has been postponed. Georgia State had some COVID test positive. Notre Dame had 7 players test positive, so their game with Wake Forest has been postponed. South Florida and Florida Atlantic and North Texas and Houston all have been postponed.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's all in COVID cases.
Yeah, 5 in a row for Houston, and it's not even their own fault. I'm not sure if Houston has any COVID cases. They just run up on a string of bad luck with other teams. They played their first game, and now since they've had their next 5 canceled.
That looks like to be it as far as college goes. But you can listen to South Carolina and Tennessee on 98.7 FM, 1590 AM, Carolina's Country Classics. The pregame will kick off at 4:30, and kickoff is set for 7:30. Braves, they'll play game 2 of a 3-game series. They'll be on Cool 102.7. Got the walk-off win last night. Ronald Acuna hit a 495-foot home run
To lead the game off.
off.
In the MLB this
year. Yeah, that's insane. Braves got the walk-off win against Boston. They have clinched the number 2 spot in the playoffs. That game, I'm not sure the airtime. We don't have one. There it is, right there in front of you, Randy. Is it 5:55 airtime?
Yeah, 5:55 airtime, 7:10 first pitch.
So be sure to tune in for that. And then tomorrow we have the Carolina Panthers and the LA Chargers. I think I said San Diego Chargers all week because I'm just so used to them being in San Diego. They are the LA Chargers with new quarterback Justin Herbert.
Yep, Tyrod Taylor got his lung punctured by the team doctor, so he's out.
Yeah, and no CMC on this one for the Panthers, unfortunately. So could be an ugly game, but that you can listen to the pregame of that show at 3 p.m. here on Cool 102.7 on Sunday. Kickoff is set for shortly after 4 o'clock. So that gives you all caught up on the sports for the weekend. Be sure to tune in to those. And don't forget Friday, or actually we have the high school coaches hour Thursday night at 6 o'clock, where you'll hear from Tyrone Drakeford at North Central, Matt Campbell of Lugoff Elgin, and Brian Remp of Camden. That is 6 p.m. on both stations, Cool 102.7 and 98.7 at 6 p.m. on Thursday. Then Friday, you have Camden at Manning on 102.7 at 7 o'clock, airtime, 7:30 kick. And Lugoff Elgin at home, having their home opener against Westwood at 7 o'clock airtime. You can listen to Emerson Phillips and Jeremy Murphy on that on 98.7 FM, 1590 AM, Carolina's Country Classics. Kickoff is set for 7:30. Then join us right back here next Saturday. We'll recap all the scores again and look ahead to Clemson and Virginia and South Carolina and Florida. So big show next week. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and you can listen to this obviously on YouTube. I don't think we posted a YouTube link this morning. Randy and I both kind of sleepwalking coming into the building this morning. But we'll post a link next week on the Cool 102.7 Facebook page. You click on it to watch live, or you can just go to YouTube and search for S.C. High School and College Football Report Show. Of course, you can listen on the app and on Cool 102.7 as well. So for Randy Camlites, I am Nathan Martin. Enjoy South Carolina and Tennessee tonight. We'll see you back here next Saturday right here on Cool 102.7.
There's no close, right?
No.
Use 24 hours a day.